All right. Today, we're going to talk about your demo, how it relates to marketing, and specifically why your demo may not be converting. In other words, getting you new clients. The demo, think of the demo as it's the gate. It's the gate between you and the promised land. I mean, you're trying to not only get noticed and create awareness, but you want to get deeper into that client's space to where they not only are aware of you, but they want to use you. And the reason they want to use you is because they heard your demo. The demo is the thing that the client uses to determine whether you're worth their time or not. Because again, imagine from the business owner's or the manager's perspective, whoever you're dealing with, they've got a business, they've got lots of projects, they got things going on. They're trying to find the right voice for the right project. So they're not so much even concerned who they hire, as long as it's the right person with the right voice, the right point of view, the right attitude, the right personality, all those things. And the demo is what clues them into that. So there's a number of reasons why a demo might not land. Now, sometimes you can have the best demo in the world, but you are not going to be the right fit. I'm not going to be the right fit for every project that they're doing. But we want to make sure that when the opportunity does fit us, that we have our best chance of breaking through. Because remember, the demo is all we have to represent us. That's all we have. And if that doesn't work, then we're not going to get any further. Number one are bad scripts. A lot of people insist on writing their own scripts for their demos. That could be a really bad idea. And the reason for that is this. Remember, the people who are listening are professionals in their specific area of expertise. And when they're listening, they can tell, like, for instance, if you're writing your own commercials for a commercial demo, an advertising executive, a copywriter, they're going, and I'm a commercial copywriter by trade. That's how I started my career, and I've done a lot of writing since then. I can spot a commercial that was written by somebody that's not a commercial copywriter in seconds. It takes almost no time at all. And once you do that, you break that kind of mysterious veil between you and the client, where the demo, again, it's a demonstration. It's not a portfolio necessarily. It's a demonstration, but it needs to feel real to them, like an actor in a TV show or a movie. Therefore, they're an actor, but for a moment that belief is suspended, and you empathize, you feel what they feel. You identify with that person. And that's what has to happen with the demo. And if the writing's not good, that's a problem. Now, there's an easy solution that for some reason a lot of people refuse or are hesitant to take, and that is to simply, if you're going to, like, for instance, a commercial, I keep using a commercial demo. It doesn't have to be commercial. It can be e-learning. It can be automotive. It can be anything. Is go to YouTube and transpose an actual script written by a professional copywriter. It's not illegal. As long as you're not taking it and creating a product out of it and selling it for money, what you're doing is you're using it for demonstration purposes. Just a few seconds in a demo for demonstration purposes. So why go to the trouble and bother of trying to write something? Again, unless I'm a professional copywriter. I don't write my own stuff. It's just so much easier to go out and get something that already exists. And there's nothing wrong with that. And, again, you can do whatever you want to do. You can write your own scripts, but I'm just telling you, the people, especially in that industry, can sniff out something that's not genuine very quickly, because that's their business. That's what they do. And you don't want them distracted from your performance by saying, what's that script? That you don't want. So scripts is one thing. The other thing is production that's not up to par. And when I say production, it means how everything is molded and created to sound. The end goal, this is what I always use as kind of my, North Star when it comes to demos, is when somebody hears that demo, it should sound to them, it shouldn't sound like it doesn't belong. It shouldn't sound like they haven't heard it before. In other words, it should sound very comfortable to them, like, and here's a comment I get a lot from people, like, oh, yeah, I've heard you before. Well, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But the reason it feels like is not necessarily because I sound just like somebody else, but because it's produced in a certain way. So yeah, it's the way the voice file is processed. Like you guys are processing yours for your auditions and all that. But beyond that, it's the full production, the music that's being used, the sound effects, how they're being mixed. There's a whole skill set involved in mixing and mastering audio. So that could be another reason. It just doesn't quite land. It's like, let's say, I love using real estate examples if you've listened to me for any length of time. And a demo is like staging a house for sale. It's showing what you're capable of. And if you have all things being equal, you have two identical houses in the same neighborhood, everything is exactly the same, except one of the homes is freshly painted on the outside and inside. Somebody brought in furniture to stage it. They mowed the lawn, they manicured it so where it looks immaculate. So when you first see it, it's like it feels like the home you want to live in because it feels newer, it feels finished, it feels ready. Whereas that same house can be identical in every way, except the paint is old and tired, it's out of date, the yard's not manicured. And sure, to fix it up, what's it going to require of you? Probably a few bucks, a little bit of time, not a big deal. But and Sarah, I know you have a real estate background. I'm going to ask you, is it is it easy for somebody to see a house like that and say, I'm not interested when it's really the perfect house for them, but they don't because they just can't visualize. They can't see what it would be like the way they want it. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to help them see it.
Have to, and it's the same thing in audio. These principles apply across really any industry. You have to help them hear it and see what their project is going to be like with you in it. And good production allows you to do that. It just needs to feel like it's a major, like off of network television, pulled right off of there, to have that sound and that production quality. It could be perhaps it's not good direction on the reads. And so again, these are all different variables and different elements that can have an effect. So if you're getting a professional demo produced, just make sure that it's not just about the production, it's about the direction. Because good direction can bring out the very best in you in a very short amount of time. It's amazing to me. I mean, I've worked with a lot of people who'd never done a demo before, who'd really never done voiceover before. But within a short, amount of time, it was amazing what they could actually do, but they had just never been directed before. They didn't understand those concepts. So just make sure you're working with somebody who has a sense, of that. They've got experience doing that, and they understand how to get the best out of you. Another thing is bad formatting of demos. Let's talk about the psychology of demos for just a little bit. The way people interact with a demo. And I always liked, and you guys have probably heard me use the analogy of somebody driving into a new town listening to the radio. You don't know the radio stations there in town. So the obvious thing, if you want to listen to radio, is to scan. You want to scan to see what you hear. So my question always is, how long do you give a station before you hit the scan button again to go to the next station? Do you give it 5 minutes?
Mm-mm,
Do you give it 2 minutes? You
mm-mm.
give it more than 30 seconds even. Yeah, I mean, and for me, it's like 5 seconds, maybe tops. Excuse me. If it doesn't resonate and it's something I want to hear, I'm on to the next one. People listen to demos like they scan radio stations. And so you've got to make sure that your clips, for one thing, aren't so long, especially with commercial, needs to be very fast paced. 60 seconds, maybe 7 commercials, between 6 to 8 commercials in a 60-second commercial demo. Audiobooks obviously need to breathe. They need some space, and audiobook publishers expect to spend a little bit of time listening to audition. So you have to kind of use your common sense in there. But what we want them to do is to hear the range of what we're capable of. And unless we provide that for them in relatively short order, they're going to be on to the next person, and they really won't have a full representation of what we're capable of. Another thing is perhaps your lead, well, I'll call it a clip, for the first audio sample that you have on your demo, might not be the one that resonates strongly with everybody. The reality is, if you're a musician, not every record on your album is going to be a hit. It does not. Some songs are fine, they're okay. Some songs have something that just resonate with people. And those are the songs that, tend to get a lot of radio airplay. They become hits, sell a lot of albums. Think of your demo as an album, and that you've got a compilation of your work on there. Some of that's going to resonate strongly with people, some of it may not. How do you know what's going to? Well, the truth is you don't. There's no way for us to know. As somebody who's worked with this kind of thing for many years, I have a pretty good feel for it. I used to be a radio programmer too. I also thought I could identify every hit that came across my desk. Well, newsflash, I was wrong a lot of the time. Some songs that I thought were just ridiculous became huge hits. Some songs that I thought were amazing never got off the ground. And so we're not objective with those things. So what I do, and I advise my students to do, is to really pay close attention to the feedback that you get throughout the daily grind of voiceover. When you're auditioning or when you're sending out demos, whenever you get feedback, listen carefully. If somebody refers to something they heard that you like, to me, I put that mark in the good column. Rarely will somebody say, well, that sucked. But what they will say is, gee, I really love the way you did this. Or, they hire you for a job and they'll say, hey, will you do this like you recorded this on your demo? Make either a mental note or a physical note of that. That is market research. And if you identify a trend, in other words, if there's something that you've recorded that people tend to request over and over again for their scripts, you found your hit. You're always looking for your greatest hit. And when you've got that, make sure that it's in the front of your demo. Make that the first thing people hear, because it might be 80 or 90% of everybody who listens to your demo may never get past the first clip. So you've got to make sure you play your greatest hit right up front. And the way you can do that is every few months you can rotate the clips through your demo and feature different ones at the very beginning, just to see. It's like going fishing and trying to find the bait that's working that day. One day it might be night crawlers. Depends on the fish, depends on where you're at. Same thing with your demos. You gotta test them and figure out which bait gets the most hits. And and it may take a little while to identify that, but when you do, then you ride that pony as far as you can. You just keep playing it and keep it out front. I've had the same thing in the front of my demo for probably a decade now, because people keep requesting it. They keep requesting it. And that's all I care about. All I care about is, what do my clients want? And once I find that, I'm going to squeeze that for everything I can. So make sure that you take the time and pay attention to identify your greatest hit or your greatest hits and start featuring that. The other thing would be specificity of demo. And that is, if you are marketing in a niche, something very, very particular and very specific. For instance, let's say it's automotive safety training, as an example. Like, that's what they do. They don't do commercial work. They don't do explainer videos. They don't produce documentaries. They produce automotive safety training. Well, then it'd be a good idea to put together a sample of some automotive training to feature. Now, one of the great things about our websites that are powered by VoFlow is now we have that directory where we can upload a ton of samples of different niches, different genres, different sounds, different types and styles, and we can use that to, when we're emailing our prospective clients, we can direct them to that. I've always said a good commercial demo covers a lot of territory, and I've booked a ton of work doing all kinds of stuff just off of my commercial demo. And I think the reason for that is because it very quickly gives a range of what I'm capable of. But if I'm going for a specific industry, something that's very particular to them, then I'm looking at introducing them to something that I do that they'll relate to, and that they can better hear how I'll fit into what they're doing. So again, the demo I can't overemphasize the importance of the demo. And I know I gave you a lot to think about. Hopefully it's not overwhelming, but these are all of the areas, all of the variables where things can work against you or work for you. So just make sure you're working with good scripts, good production, that the performance is good. Get good feedback on that. Somebody you trust to give you good feedback. Make sure the formatting is proper and you're allowing them to hear the range of your your skill in a relatively short amount of time, and then identify your greatest hit, and make sure that you play that up front to increase your chance to win the job and the opportunity. Thoughts, questions, feedback?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Hope.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Really, I've never been part of the community very much, but it's really cool to see you guys. Nice to
Well,
know
it's
we're
good
all
to see you
doing the
too.
same thing. My question is, I had a demo and it was made and it was like a year and a half ago. And I work with Frank Gerard
Yeah.
and I am on his roster and occasionally he'll tell me, Hope, this one is really good. Like I'll do a job for him. He does radio commercials, everyone. And this could go in your demo, like, if you wanna get a new demo.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, now I know my demo's solid, but I have improved so much.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking, "Hey, I could take some of these professionally done commercials, and if I could take clips from them and then DIY those together, it would be basically an updated Hope 2.0 kind of thing."
Yes.
And I wondered what you thought about that. But I should
Yeah.
doing that myself instead of yeah.
I like that. As a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, for the very first time, I decided to only use, because since I've done it for quite a while and I've got a lot of material. I decided to compile a new demo based on everything's it's all the work I've done, like paid work that I've done. And usually most projects we do end up on YouTube. Most of those do. So it's relatively easy to go out and find those. And you can download them or skim the audio off of it. And every time you do a job, you should go look for it on YouTube afterwards, or ask the client if they would be so kind as to send you a copy of it. Because when I can't find it, I've had success doing that as well. But I think that, oh, no, I think that's great. And I will also say this, which is closely related. My greatest hit is actually, it's the only thing on my demo that wasn't a paid job that I did, and it was an audition that I did years ago. It's a Walmart commercial, and when I did it, I noticed that it was different from what I was accustomed to doing, and I was still kind of coming out of that broadcast background, and everything I did was I attacked everything like a radio guy. I just, I attacked everything was a car commercial to me. And so, but I realized, oh, I don't think I've ever done this before in voiceover, but it was more genuine and authentic to just the way I am before just having a conversation, and which was hard for me to get to that point, but finally I had, and I put it on my demo, and it immediately resonated. I mean, immediately, and I'd say 90% of every job I get, that's referenced as what they want. So if you've got an audition you've done that you think is really strong, or you've got, paid work and you just want to take it off of YouTube and, grab the audio, put it in your demo. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a really good question. Good. Anyone else? Oh, you're anxious to get back to work, right?
I
Sending
have one
emails.
I have
10
another question.
emails. What's that?
I have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you're saying you have a specific niche, like the automotive,
Yep.
whatever, do you I've had that happen too, and I'll think, "Oh my gosh, I just did something like this," or "I have something in my cache of work," but it's not a demo. So then I think, "Well, maybe I should send out this 30-second thing that fits with them, it's their niche."
Mhm.
And then I'll say, "No," because if I send my commercial demo, then they get to see my range. So I don't have, like, for instance, I was like it was a mom voice thing, and I was like, "I just did my first mom voice, and I thought I nailed it, so I should send my mom voice." But then I
Mhm.
thought, "Well, I should just send my commercial demo because they get the range." Okay.
Well, I think both is the best answer. So
Oh.
if you're in a situation where you know that it's going to be very specific, include it. Even it's just, as long as good, clean recording, doesn't need background music, doesn't need anything else. They'll appreciate actually just hearing what you sound like in your studio. And you can say, "I sent you this because of, I know that you do such and such, and I thought this may, be something that you'd be interested in. But I've also included my whatever commercial demo, so you could hear the range of what I'm capable of delivering." So you could do that, and you cover all your bases.